You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
This is Zoom the TBT of Charge and Hayner. Tonight, pencils down, boys and girls, pencils down, much like applying for college or a loan or a marriage certificate. You are done. You are finished. We have our applicants. Charge, are you amped to get into this?
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to get into it. It's been an interesting application period for TBT, none like we have ever seen. So a lot of good storylines, a lot of shocks, a lot of surprises, and I can't wait to dig in region by region and do a little bit of a preview of what to expect for TBT 2022.
And we got Otto right here, one of our big fans. Let's go, he says. So let's go.
Number 16 in West Virginia. I heard that.
Let's go.
No, we're not quite there yet.
Okay, number 16 seed. Stop that. Okay, here we go. So we're going to review this regions. Again, we have all the different regions. We've got your Rucker Park. We've got your West Virginia. We've got your Xavier. We have a computer delay not showing the graphics properly, et cetera, et cetera. But we do now have our map. You can see the East Coast bias, which makes sense to this New Yorker start. I'm happy with that. And again, you have the regions where they line up: Omaha, Wichita, Xavier, Rucker, Dayton, West Virginia, Syracuse, New Mexico. Now, we're going to get right into this and get into the current number one seeds. Before we name our number one seeds, I do want to bring in our guests. We're going to have a couple guests start in early and float in and out tonight. Tonight's a really loose show because of the nature. This just happened. The application period just closed. It's really a kind of a throw together. We're trying to get this done fast. So we have the co-GM of Eberlein Drive, Jake Hirschmann. Jake, what's up, man?
Happy to be here. Crazy last few weeks, but ready to dive into some bracketology.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to have the Eberlein Drive guys. Let's drive. And our really hot with the bullet new team, the GM of Ram Nation, the GM of Bleed Virginia, now the GM of the Hustlers. Matt, what's up, man?
Yo, what's up, fellas? I didn't think I would be on this podcast talking about this right now, like 3 days ago, but it's good to be here.
You texted me this weekend and said that you had someone who wanted to partner with. We'll just get to when we get to your region. And I was floored by the names. It's a really huge guy to have as a part of this, which we're so excited about. But having this team thrown together so late and being such a quality team is a real testament to your veteran status in this community. And that's a great segue into our current number one seed. So, Charge, let's get into this right now. We've got our number one seeds. And again, these are a little flexible. Some of these are really close to other ones. Jake, do you notice a team that's missing on the number one seeds?
I don't see Eberlein Drive on that list.
I do not see an Eberlein Drive. We have them high in Wichita. We do not have those. The one we currently have the Aftershocks as the one there. We'll talk about why we did that as we get into your bracket, because there is a logic, a method to the madness. And Matt, do you notice a team on there?
It looks beautiful. This is
Well, I heard through the internet gibberish. I heard blip, 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 but I heard you were proved, I think.
Well, that would be good news to me. I feel like with should I say who we have our big star that I think kind of locks us into that region?
Well, let's do this. Let's do regions. And when you guys see the regions, you talk mainly about your region. And we're going to go out of order and get right into you guys' reasons. So before we do that, though, Charge. Obviously, we have two guests on who both have teams that are credible number one seeds. What team in the field of these number ones do you think is the strongest number one as of today?
Oh, yeah, definitely Florida TNT. Sorry, guys. These guys went to the Final Four last year. They added Blake. They added Rob Gray. These guys are just a real cohesive team, spend a lot of time together leading up to the TBT each year. And so to have a Final Four team get significantly better than they were the prior year, good strategy to all kind of mesh and work well together. I think they're definitely right now my team to beat is Florida TNT.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting with Florida TNT. I actually am inclined to agree about that. I think Florida TNT, as of now, has the strongest roster of these all 8 excellent teams. I will say that I do want to give a shout out to Boehm's for reloading so well, because you see some things happening there. I'm surprised the defending champs were able to reload despite some defection. So they're going to be back contending in Syracuse. let's get
Yeah,
right.
and we may revisit Gutter Cat Gang at some point too. Obviously, there's a lot of players not named yet, and as we go through this, we'll some things are public, some things are not. But I think obviously that Gutter Cat Gang team has some bullets in their gun still that we haven't heard yet. So everything we talk about is going to be based on what we know or we've been approved to discuss. So Gutter Cat could be in that same conversation.
Approved to discuss. I love it. By the way, real quick, let's go ahead. Before we get into the bracket, we'll have Matt talk about the bracket for Rucker. Let's talk, first of all, about sort of what we know, what the rules are. We are going off the website and personal conversations with GMs we know. So you went ahead and tried to figure out really who's in the event. So we have a list we've been scrubbing of teams we know are running or reasonably confident are running. And while the application was due today, there's always a few videos that get lost in the interweb, the internet of tubes, etc. There's a couple of verifying pending verification. So if a team had like 6 on the website and we were able to confirm the 7th is in the tubes that connect computers to computers, we went ahead and treated them as 7. So there might be 1 or 2 teams that are worth discussing that may be late adds or subtracts. That's just one thing. And also, we're not privy to any inside information. We do not work for TBT, so these are mostly guesses on our part. Charge, anything you want to add as ground rules before we get into the actual brackets?
No, I think you covered it, and those people who do follow us, obviously you kind of covered a lot of the rules and regulations on Twitter this week, and so a lot of moving parts. So I think TBT does their best to keep up with things, and hats off to them for keeping today organized, free agent frenzy day organized, and so there will be some fallout, people moving, players that we didn't know about jump in here, but yeah, so it's still moving, still fluid, and then we'll got to make the best decisions we can with what we know. So nothing else.
Makes sense. And before we let Matt speak, let's let the alternate guest talk about the other one. So Jake, you're not in this region, but you guys didn't apply to Rucker. But what is, from an outsider, most exciting about the Rucker Regional to you?
I mean, it's just going to be so different from anything TBT's ever done. And I think that's why a lot of teams, even us, were maybe a bit more nervous to go there, just because it's kind of an unknown, you don't know what the weather's going to be like, an outdoor court. I know it's a good court, but it's going to be incredible to watch. I just think the fans, open seating, really tight environment. I'm super excited to watch it, but definitely as a GM, it was kind of a spot where I would be a little nervous if I picked it, just because there's a lot more unknowns playing outside.
Definitely makes sense. So, okay, Matt, we're going to get to you in a minute. We're going to you right now. So, as we looked at the Rucker Park Regional, we went ahead and gave the Hustlers the 1 seed, and friends of the program, the WoCo and Vultures, we went ahead and got them in as the last team as an 8. Matt, let's talk briefly about your team. We'll do a longer one later, but how did this come together so late in the game?
I'll say the last time I was in New York was March 12th, 2020. I was there to watch my Rams were playing, and our game got canceled 3 minutes before tip for COVID. And so I haven't been to New York since. So I love New York. My wife used to live in New York. And so I was just like, I've never been to Rucker, and I just wanted to, just the idea of it. But I've been like you guys and super busy with my career. And so I just kind of backburnered it. But I had just kind of looking at the region and as it got closer and seeing all the action, that FOMO started kicking in. And then I got a commitment from our coach, and I was like, all right, we got to do this. Let's build a team. And so essentially we built a team in about 24 to 48 hours. And so this came together fast. But again, we've done this before. And my co-GM is a guy, Andrew Canavas. He films for Slam. He's super well connected. He knows everybody. And, when you've done this before, you know more people. So we pulled it together. And again, I looked at the region. I thought we could quickly get a high seed in there, and we're really not done building yet. We just want to get a team to get in, and then get in and get elite, basically.
That makes sense. Now, Matt, could you real quick, briefly, also tell us who your coach is?
So our coach is I would consider him a Rucker Park legend. Many people know him from the NBA. A lot of people know him from And One, but his name is Rafer Skip to Malu Alston. So he's many options.
Loyalty.
I said player coach, GM coach, whatever he wanted to do, he had an open ticket. So he took coach. I I guess he's putting his playing years behind him. But it's an honor for me that he's just humility from him to do this. And for all of our guys who have committed to play for us, they're so excited and they're just honored that he would do this, and they just couldn't pass up the opportunity to meet him and work with him.
Yeah, it's got to be a huge selling point. Charge, you're familiar with Fan One. What do you think makes a team like the Hustlers, who have sort of that street ball imprint from a guy like Austin, and also have the DNA of the Ram Nation, Bleed Virginia ethos? Like, how dangerous does that make to come out of this bracket?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes them real dangerous. Obviously, some of these guys, Matt's had relationship with them prior to TBTs, but it's just Matt's brand has always kind of been a fearless brand of basketball where, these may not be the household names, obviously Ray for most people know, but some of these guys playing may not be the household names that everybody knows. But one thing that we've seen with Matt and his teams throughout the years is that they're just fearless teams. And what a better place to play than Rucker. I saw some of the videos he's posted on Instagram, and Kerwin Roach dunks, and you're going to draw a blank on the kid's name from Monmouth, but some of his video was pretty slick. But
the one that dunked when he was down 55, that was my favorite video I've ever seen. We're going to lose, but I'm still going to get my dunk. Screw this. I love it.
No quit.
They're going to be fun to watch, and I think that's really what Rucker is going to need. So we'll walk through all 8 teams, and it's not going to be all the players that people know, but it's going to be a fun brand of basketball, and that's what's going to make Rucker fun.
Now, Jake, already are you glad you're not in this region? Because I don't think that's a team you'd want to face early on, like a team like the Hustlers. That might be a kind of a challenge for a team like that, to want to get up and down for guys who have nothing to lose, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just having a street ball legend at Rucker is such a huge advantage at its own point. And I mean, when we look at the rest of the region, we'll see a lot of the teams we don't really know how they're going to mesh together. And if nothing else, Matt's shown through his former teams that he's able to put together teams that can compete. And so I think that goes a long way in such a region that is such an unknown. So I think that's really important. And like I said, that's part of the reason we wanted to stay away from Rucker.
The volatility, the delta, the sort of things that can change. Okay, Matt, the Brooklyn Vultures, they've been in the tournament before. If they were your 8 seed, they got a lot of tough kids. They're not a brand name team, but they only have to get on a train. They're not even busing there. They're not even flying. They're taking the MTA. They got a Metro card. They're swiping it. Does that home court make them a little more dangerous if they are able to get in?
Well, they're hungry and they're local. And just that sort of, I mean, Rucker is its own monster, and games can get weird there. And so, yeah, I mean, this, for them to get to play on that court in theory on ESPN, that weird things happen in basketball. This is a one and done tournament. So, yeah, I mean, every game is terrifying, and to catch a home team would be pretty scary.
Totally makes sense. Okay, let's go through this bracket a little bit more to see who you guys might be facing. So we have a projection of a 4, and again, these are early projections, but HBCU, the historically black college and university, with our buddy Snacks Lee, who came on the show a little while ago, with the Mental Toughness JCK Foundation, who are basically having a hard time getting to Syracuse and make the reasonable move to get a decent seed here. This would be a nice little first-round game. Charge, who would you have winning that game, you think?
That's going to be a great game. I mean, if I'm being honest, I like the Mental Toughness team from last year a little bit better than what I've seen on paper so far this year. But HBCU's got some really good shooters this year. So picked up Phil Carr late, guy I like from the Charge, and I give that to HBCU early. But once again, you look at these teams. I'll say a couple overall comments towards the end, but it's going to be a lot of good quality professional players that are going to be scrappy, and anything can happen here.
Okay, and we're looking at that 3-6. Now, we've discussed this a lot. I actually have the Ace All-Stars as a 1. We're hearing that may be a high seed because of the volatility of a 19-man roster. We're basically bringing a football-sized team there. I think they're actually going to have me suit up to shoot threes in the corner off passes from fellow Memphis guy Darius Washington versus Peacock Nation, who rode that 15 seed as far as ever had before. Now, how much more interesting would it be if the Peacock Nation just brought this year's St. Peter's team?
That'd be something. We ain't seen that before yet.
Yeah, definitely. And our last teams for this region, expats moved from Syracuse. Obviously, they've got a pretty loaded roster, pretty interesting roster. So they move up the food chain a lot here, becoming a 2 seed against what's the YGC. First of all, what is a YGC? Can anyone help me? What is that? I know they have Rainier Thornton, I believe, on that team. Or is it Drew? No, they have Drew Barnum on that team.
Yeah, no, this one here, obviously, when I saw it come out, it's got Trey Davis on the team. Xavier Rathen-Mays is going to be on here. Quincy Miller is going to be on here. So they have some quality pros. And why we know this team is going to be in, as I was doing some research, it's Marcus Smart's Basketball Academy. So obviously you got a nice name behind that. If he promotes the team, obviously that's pretty good. But Marcus Smart's Academy is also sponsored by Puma Basketball. So I don't see any way these guys don't get in. There's a couple connections there and, quality team too. I think 7 seed is low here. I think these guys move up after all is said and done. It's going to be a really good quality team, but they have some kind of signals that would make me think they're locked to get into Rucker.
I wish we were sponsored by Puma. Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to add to that too. I mean, I don't know, it's all about who actually ends up on their roster, but get Jared Terrell and, they've got a great rebounder in Kevin Marfo. I would hate to catch them, in a first round game. To me, they're a 2 seed if they get the guys that they say they're getting. Or, us and them, I think you can make 1, 2.
It was a difficult region to seed because it's a relatively flat thing. So, Jake, if you're looking at this bracket, who are you telling Matt to keep his eyes out for? Is it the YGC? Or is there somebody else that pokes your interest a little bit here?
I mean, YGC for sure, but I mean, like you said, they don't have the same roster as last year, but that mental toughness team last year, being in Wichita, watching them take the LA Cheaters to the brink, a team that had Terrence Jones and Derek Williams and Casper Ware. I mean, it was their first year in the tournament, and they put together a great squad that fought really, really hard. And, we were nervous as a team that could have potentially ran into them. So mental toughness is a team that I think could make a little run here. Because as you said, this region more than any other seems kind of flat across the board in terms of there isn't a lot of difference between even 1 through 7 or 8. So mental toughness, just as a team I watched in person last year, is a team I would keep an eye out for.
And not only was the regions flat, there were some pretty tough cuts here. So this has actually had the largest bubble of any of the teams. So first of all, no one bought in, and it's closed now, so there's no buy-ins. There are 7 teams off the bracket here. It's by far the largest bubble we had. And there's some things on there interesting. First of all, Chicago Hoopville Warriors, we're not sure what the status is. Right now, their website shows 3. We don't have a contact with that team, so we couldn't verify they have the roster. But you would think if because of their long tenure in the TBT, if for some reason they do have 7 or 8 guys, if they do have the actual roster spots, you can assume they probably find a way to squeeze in this field somewhere. Charge, also, what are the teams here that you really felt hard cutting?
Yeah, I really grew to like hoops for ALSF a lot. Obviously, we went from the very beginning and kind of stated, many bracketologies ago, if this event's held at Rucker, Brooklyn Vultures is going to be in, and so we stand by that. But who's for ALSF? I think he's done a really nice job. Jordan did. Putting this team together, going out and making some moves, some good overseas professionals. Picked up the coach from Team Brotherly Love, somebody with some really nice experience. However, obviously still have him on the out, but having him on the show was just an extreme passion for basketball. Not only wanted his team in to compete for the $1 million prize, but his passion for the kids, passion for the awareness for ALSF, and just this is one team that I want to see get into TBT at some point in their career, and I think that should give them an edge elsewhere. But this thing just got packed at the end. So people like the hustlers moving in and bumping out the kids in the lemonade stand. So don't feel too bad about that, Matt. But I think they worked hard. You can say the same thing about Redeem. I love that Virginia Dream team. I think they're a solid team. City team's not bad. Raleigh 919 is not bad. I mean, these are really, really good teams. It's just so flat across the way that there's only so many spots. And, I think we're going to get pretty close. The one that gets me nervous about knocking someone else is that Chicago Hoopville Warriors, though. With those guys, they've been in this 6 years already. I believe 6 years. And, have competed well, very reliable. So a friend of TBT, I guess, for lack of a better word. But I think they could cause some trouble if they have that 7 people on their roster that we don't currently see. And one other wild card, that Ace League, I just don't know what to expect with the 19 people. I know talking to Brent and those guys, they're going to have, players working out and working together to see what the best 10 are. But, at some point, that's going to be kind of tough to keep the cohesiveness and kind of the morale up if you cut 9 guys or however many guys you got to cut to get down to a team. So that one's going to be interesting. But I think they're going to put together a nice squad after all's said and done.
Good summary. Matt, I'm going to give you a closing word on this region. What do people need to know about this region from someone who'll be entering it? What's the go-to 30-second elevator pitch of why the Rucker region is going to be fun?
Rucker Park, it's the star. That is the star of the region, is the court, is the area. But it's also a volatile region. There's not the, necessarily the Eberlein drives, the ALSs. So it's a pretty, it's a relatively, I like our chances region as it stands personally, and we're going to get better. But I think, it's a pretty volatile region, and that's what you want in one and done basketball.
Sounds good. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go to the next region now, and we're out of order. But we're out of order, so we have guests today. So we're gonna go ahead and go to Wichita. We're gonna talk about Eberlein's region, and we've already mentioned I screwed them pretty hard out of a 1 seed, but there is a method. We'll get to why in a minute. And it's a good time for me in charge to mention that we are more than willing to move a team 1 or even maybe 2 lines if it's a matchup reason, because we understand we've had Dan on the show, Dan Friel on the show before, and he's very open. In fact, this is 85% professional basketball and 15% professional wrestling. You need face turns, you need heels, you need bank, you need box office. So there's reasons some of these matchups happen. Seeds be damned, quality be damned. So the Shocks in North Texas, a couple small conference schools, nothing too notable there. North Texas has a nice little squad. They have a little bit of a Twitter rivalry with Texas Tech alums. We want to get them together. We couldn't. We'll explain why as well in a minute. Stillwater, who I think Eberlein is still scoring on. Hang on. Yes, they scored again. Against the coolest logo in sports, the Fort Worth Funk, the pimp hat. My favorite logo in the entire tournament. Charge, this Big 12 Invitational. How much fun will the Funk Stillwater be?
Yeah, I think this whole region, once we unveil the whole thing, a lot of good quality, strong alumni teams. Obviously, Stillwater Stars with that big, shocking victory last year with that come from behind to advance to play Eberlein. And Fort Worth Funk played a really hard-fought game against the Team Arkansas last year, which kind of ran off of Wichita and headed to Omaha, which we'll talk about here briefly.
Yeah.
But this one here, Stillwater Stars, everything I looked at, like I said, players are still moving, but it looks like they got the big core what they had last year. Fort Worth looks like a lot of newer players. I haven't seen Alex Robinson on the roster yet, who really controls the pace of the game really well and a key contributor last year. So without Robinson, I think that's a little bit of a loss, but it's going to be a strong game and a great alumni matchup.
Okay, before we get into the other half of the region, which is all its good analysis, Jake, why did you guys decide to apply to Wichita, out of curiosity? Because we have you on the show. What was the logic in applying here?
I mean, really, it just came down to scheduling with your players. We originally were planning on going to New Mexico, and it just came down to schedule work for players, coaches, and most of the people we wanted involved. So it really just came down to scheduling more than anything. We decided to switch about a month ago, so we really didn't even know who was going to be in the region yet. Texas Tech hadn't even entered the fray. So it really just was scheduling more than anything. And we were there last year, so we at least have a comfortability where we know the gym, we know where everything is, we know where to stay. So that'll help too.
Definitely makes sense. Let's go ahead and get to this right side of the region real quick. So 3-6, continuing this Big 12 vibe, we have the Air Raiders of the Texas Tech alum versus the number 6 seed Purple and Black. We actually confirmed on Twitter against their Twitter account an hour and a half ago or so that they actually have the team. Because they're like, hey, you're not showing up and you're not answering your email. Do you have a team? And they're like, oh, yeah, we do. I'm like, okay, then you're probably in. Because, obviously there's a certain it says Purple and Black. That actually comes from the bruises of the way they play. And Air Raiders Purple and Black game is going to be 1st to 17 wins. And let's get into that Eberlein matchup. So we have Eberlein as the 2 seed against a very high-quality D3 team. And this is why we shoved Eberlein down to the 2 and not the 1. I had them in my seedings as a true 1 but I kind of refuse to shove D3 down to an 8. It just seemed disrespectful to the quality of team they've had. And it just seemed kind of unfair to shove them down. Sometimes the lower seed dictates what happens with the higher seed for a matchup purpose. So the reality is I saw Eberlein as a true 1, but since D3 seemed more like a true 6 than a 7, it felt like that was kind of the way to go. The team that made good versus the team that's still trying to break through up their first win. So first of all, Jake, like if you got D3, that's not an ideal matchup. They have a lot of shooting. Like they've never won in this, but they've come really close. Are you concerned you might be the first one to bite that bullet?
I mean, there's always concern, no matter what. I mean, we were concerned with the NG Saints last year, and they were leading most of the first half against us. You can't take anybody lightly. And I mean, I remember D3 was in Wichita last year. They took ALS to the brink, and they've got a lot of really good players. So it would be a tough matchup, and like this matchup wouldn't surprise me at all, as theoretically the only 2 non-alumni teams in the region. So if there's anything we've learned, it's you don't take anybody lightly. So we definitely would not take them lightly.
So, Matt, looking at this region, and again, you're probably relieved not to play half these jackasses. There's some really high-quality teams. Like, I wouldn't want to play these people. This is a nightmare. It's also a key point. When teams start moving around, some regions look stronger or weaker, and then the movement starts. I see, teams that are strong or regions are strong move to weaker regions, etc. Accepting the shocks, accepting Eberlein drive, what's a bottom half seed that you would be most concerned about facing in the first round?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I don't know what Purple and Black has, so that's a quality program.
They have a team, so we heard.
Yeah, that's a quality program. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a deep dive into this, but yeah, just looking at it compared to Rucker, it's just feels. I mean, the bottom half feels like it would easily be the top half of Rucker, which I'm sure they'll all decide to fly to New York instead. But yeah, I mean, Purple and Black, they've been in this a bunch, so that's a team I'd watch for. They know what you need to win, and it's in Kansas, so that's something. But man, they have quite the first round matchup. But yeah, it's a deep region.
Yeah. So Charge, looking at this, and we'll also bring up the teams that were sort of the bubble, Locos, Lone Star, and Dream. Which compared to the teams that we have in the Locos, the USCBs, the Lone Star Legends, while they're all quality teams, I thought the cut line was pretty solid there at 8, even there's always a surprise in the wings and no one bought in. Put a button on this, Charge. Summarize this region in a sort of an elevator pitch. What do you see here? What's the ethos going to be here?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a fun vibe there in Wichita. Obviously, they hold the record beating Matt's VCU days out there. So they hold the record for attendance. And with this many strong alumni teams, I don't think we're going to see that kind of wane any. If anything, maybe even set some new attendance records. So really excited about the alumni team. That Air Raiders team, I think, is something to watch. I think we know what we're going to get out of Aftershocks in the Eberlein, but that Air Raiders team is going to be pretty spectacular. And then on the bubble, that Lone Star Legends I like, and Salt Lake City Dream may have some things in the works too. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great college environment in Wichita.
Good time to mention, too, if you're on the bubble and the region looks full, we don't run the thing. This is just our take on it. But you can always call the home office and say, hey, listen, this one, would you want us to move? Flexibility is a great tool. Availability is the best ability. Jake, this is your region. Give us the closing thought on it. What do you think? Obviously, you're going to get out of here. You're going to win. But how hard will the road be?
I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, we obviously played there last year, and I'll never forget us being the 1 seed. Wichita State played right after us, and when Florida TNT came back on us, that crowd was unbelievable. They were rooting for Florida TNT, and it was an environment like we've never experienced in TBT. And I think that's the best thing about the region is the fans. It's going to be super, super loud. I really think us Aftershocks and Texas Tech all kind of have this claim for the number 1 seed. Tech, obviously, having not played before, maybe has a little bit of a lesser hand, but
a lot of talent, though. A lot of talent.
Oh, yeah. Great team. Definitely scary. Personally, we didn't think we would get the 1 seed last year because we thought they'd give it to the Aftershocks. But, at the end of the day, both of us lost to Florida TNT, so we were kind of in the same boat anyways.
So, gentlemen, I think, and we love having you on, we want to have both the full cohorts of the Hustlers, and we want to have a show about Eberlein as well. But to keep it moving because of the speed of the show, I think it might be good to go ahead and move with on and without you. We want to do your regions first. Let you guys enjoy your evening. So, Matt, any closing thoughts before we let you go?
Thanks for the 1 seed. Great to see you all. And yeah, the talent, it just keeps getting better. And I think it's going to be a really fun summer.
Jake, any closing thoughts for the Eberlein drive, guys?
Hey, we're excited. We're going to be on the edge of our seats watching the rest of this and up until next week when the bracket gets announced. And very happy and excited to do a show breaking down the team soon.
Can't wait to do the show's advance with both of you. Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for coming on. We're going to continue without you.
See you guys.
Yep.
Jake, Matt, thanks, guys. Okay, so that's cool. I figured we just go a little faster.
Yeah, 2 regions. Wow. Those are exciting regions, though.
Oh, this Wichita region is going to be an absolute mess. Okay, let's
2 different vibes. You got this Rucker vibe, which is insane, and you got this Wichita vibe that's insane in 2 very, very different ways. It's spectacular so far.
What's interesting is I did a count, and not counting blended alumni teams, just counting true alumni teams that are school-based. And my count may be off because I'm really bad at math. Architect's usually good at math. I'm not, obviously. But we're talking about half the field is true alumni this year, about 31 teams. At this projection, it may change. We may be off a team. We almost certainly are. But at the same time, we're talking about probably, half the field, true alums. We got 6 regions to go. Let's keep it moving. Okay, so Omaha. This is a fun region. We're going to start that Gutter Cat gang. And this 8 seed came down to something pretty interesting. We went with the guys, and we'll talk about that may be a weird pick. That was sort of your take. What excites you about the guys? You were kind of high on them as an 8.
Yeah, like I said, they truly have good, talented Division I type basketball players. Some good playing experience, but it's just a fun team. When you look at their videos on YouTube and whatnot, why not have some fun in the TBT? So we get very serious, and these guys are just out there having fun. Playing, having a good time. A little slapstick, and it's just a team that I think would be very different than anything we've ever seen in the TBT, with the attitude and just really going out there and playing basketball a little bit differently, assuming it's their same branding as what they have on their website and their videos currently. It's just very different than what we've ever seen in the TBT before, and kind of called out Omaha's a little thin this year, so why not is what I say, especially when you can match them up against another non-alumni team like the Gutter Cat gang, and what they're going to bring to the table. I just think it'd be a fun matchup. It's something very different that may be fun to watch in TBT.
Definitely. And Jake, who's just on, said they seem like fun guys for sure, which I totally agree with. Okay, so talking a little bit more about this region, the underdogs versus overtime elite. The logic there being, if you're going to have the first draft eligible players to be, which is a great story, it's a massively huge story, very cool. Why not have them start their pro career as young men against literally the most interesting, almost non-pro team in the event? This would be a real dichotomy of storylines. The ones who are going to be groomed for the NBA, people are going to be making hopefully millions of dollars as soon as this tournament's over, maybe, versus the underdogs, a team of guys who just come to play, always underseeded, always unrespected, and always win games. So like this sort of dichotomy is pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's pretty wild because it's one of those ones, even looking at the matchup, a lot of unknowns with overtime elite, some of these young kids, are they really going to play? Are they going to play meaningful minutes in the TBT? But I think everybody would look, and they're going to add some veterans around these guys as, overtime elite's going to kind of run through Jackson underdogs. But every year they step up and win. I mean, these guys obviously take a lot of pride in their blue-collar work ethic, and they take a lot of pride in being the underdog, so they're going to be a little upset with you putting them at a 4-hander.
I know. It's time to stop.
It don't feel right. It does not feel right at all. But, great matchup, great stories from both of those. I think that's something that anyone see. But I think overtime's elite putting a team in. If they truly put these guys out on the floor and showcase them, that's pretty game-changing for, once again, kind of something different and unique that we haven't seen in the TBT before. So can't wait to see how it all plays out.
Okay, moving along. Showing a few. We'll do it all inside. Overclicked it. So we've got the Blue Crew and Always Us. Always Us came together pretty late. They were kind of on Life Sports now. Like they hadn't got the roster there. Not quite as developed as the roster normally is, but there's time to add, and we still expect the Oregon alums to come strong. It's the host, the Creighton Blue Crew, the Omaha Blue Crew. It could be pretty interesting. Team Arkansas we'll talk about the crew a little bit. But the move of this bracket really is, skipping everything else, Team Arkansas as the 2 seed is really the move of this bracket, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously they left Wichita, and which was a little more crowded. Obviously a pretty loaded bracket to Omaha, which is, and once again, perception. Some of these brackets that we think aren't going to be as deep end up being really deep, and came over to Omaha. I think their seed got dramatically better with the move. I think their team looks really good. They have a lot of the core guys that have historically played, like Barford and Hannah's. Sonny Weems is rumored to actually be playing this year. He has not played in the past, so I don't know if I believe that or not.
You're a hater, Charge. That's why.
No, I just call it how it is. I don't know if the guy's going to play or not. He hasn't shown up yet and played, so why would he do it 2-3 years later? But he could play, and that would be very interesting. I think really makes his team, and unfortunately, Arkansas struggled a little bit in the past, kind of like a war-ready type team where they're a good squad, but hasn't really taken that step to go deep. And so we'll see how that goes. I like the team. I like the players, and we just got to see if they can take that next move into TBT.
You just invoked the war-ready corollary, which means you just are. I asked, "Are you a hater?" And of course, Ott chimes in with, Yes.
Yeah, the other thing here, I would if Always Us comes back with the same roster they had last year, you can almost flip Blue Crew and Always Us. Come on, y'all are haters.
This is what you get for letting me do the producing. I get to run the tone of the show whether you like it or not. That's the problem.
I know. There's got to be someone out here. Come on.
Oh my God. So what's interesting about closing this bracket out real quick is that, and again, you can see the bracket up there, but the entry team here is bought. And my theory is the B1 ballers who have bought in before are the buy team, which would push the guys out. So this 8-9 thing, there's a bought team. We don't actually know which one's bought. It's not on the website yet. We have no real idea. But I think it's B1, which would push out the guys. You think it's overtime?
Yeah, I mean, because we don't know. B1 ballers, which me and Hannah were talking about last year, they were to buy in last year. So you can kind of say we can assume maybe they're to buy in, but Overtime's Elite obviously, has unlimited resources, and it wouldn't surprise me if they weren't a buy-in over here just to get locked in and not have to deal with any of those things. But it would be a tough call. B1 Ballers comes in. I think that puts the guys at serious risk. However, I want to see the guys in the tournament, so bump the crew in that dude that hit that shot back in the day. But give me the guys. Give me the guys all day long.
Well, that's cool. Give me the guys. Real quick, if you heard a dead spot real quick there was a, a internet problem due to the fact that my internet in New York City is held by bailing wires and broken dreams. So we lost you for a minute. Not your fault. This is just purely the nature of computers and Zoom and BS. So we're not going to worry about it. Jake's just said, I will say we are happy Arkansas left Wichita. Yeah, no crap. They were a loaded team.
What do you think about that? Weems and Barford and Hannah, they're solid. I like see them all play, get on the court at the same time. It can get nasty.
Could get nasty. Okay, here we go. Let's talk a little bit about the Xavier region. Now, this is a case in point. Regions seem really strong, and then people move. So this gets a little interesting. So Florida TNT versus Sweet Home, Alabama. I'm not really sure what Sweet Home, Alabama is. I'm from the South. I don't like Alabama. I've been. It's nothing special as a state. We can get rid of them.
Hater. Who's the hater now? You don't even know these guys.
What?
You're the hater now. You don't even know these guys, and you're hating on Sweet Home Alabama. It's not like we're talking about Tennessee.
I think it's a state that we don't need. No, I'm kidding. It's just I'm being mean. I don't care. I'm from Tennessee. I just have a bad attitude. No, but the key thing is TNT though is a worthy number one. You've been pushing them as a number one over Sideline. I think they're co-number ones. We flipped them this time. Why is TNT just so good?
I think it's just their depth. I don't think anyone can match up to the depth they have. So this was a Final Four team last year that just went and added Antonio Blakeney, who can, absolutely light it up. Rob Gray, who can light it up and do a lot of different things as a facilitator. And it's just, Final Four team that got better than they were. Sideline got better than they were last year as well. But, I think they had the deeper run and added some good components. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a real good quality. If you see me motioning off the screen, you'll see that I am talking to my partner to close the door. She doesn't listen to this quite as loud because she's pretty sick of TBT, as our most rational girlfriends and wives at this point. She's like, Hannah, why are you doing this? Okay, so anyway, this is where it gets really telling. Fort Wayne we had as an 8. We have now moved them up to a 4. And they didn't really change. They're a quality team, but a lot of teams have moved or dropped. The money team has moved from the region. D2 has decided not to run this year for a variety of reasons. So that's 2 quality teams that have moved. And the matchups that dictate a moving up of last year's last team in against Always Balling. Now, first of all, I feel robbed. We're not getting this Mayweather matchup with Broner. I feel robbed of this. Is this disappointing to you that fight literally and figuratively has been taken from us?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I didn't even notice it's Always Ballin'. Did they change the name on the website too? So is it not about Billions with Broner anymore?
No, it's about Billions. That's just the logo. Always Balling's for about Billions.
Okay, I just wanted to make
It's
sure.
A, it's
Yeah,
B,
so
it's
the
A,
logo's
it's B. Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like I said, based on any movement here, I think they could be a team that could get bumped. I think their team's better and improved from what they put out last year, but there was obviously a lot of intrigue with Mayweather versus Broner with their basketball teams that they're sponsoring and supporting. So I think they're going to be a competitive game. Obviously, we put these non-alumni teams here as a matchup, but Fort Wayne, they're loaded this year, and once again, and something that's different about them. And Garrett really looks for pieces that play together, want to play as a team, and they're definitely much improved over last year too, and barring any injuries, I think this is a team that could kind of scare some people.
Definitely. Hey, look at this 3-6, and this is where it gets. We do hunt matchups. They're probably closer to a higher seed, but zip them up, Natty. We're not going to leave Cincy without this brawl. You're going to get Xavier, Cincinnati, if hell or high water has to move. The Natty team still has some moves to make. Zip them up, those gotten really strong with center and I believe they have an Uber driver. They said now playing center, so I think it's pretty amazing. Steinbeck, I believe, the big guy. I think he drives an Uber.
Yeah.
Which means he's definitely the best Uber driver I would have ever had. Then obviously 5 stars as a big and as an Uber driver, right?
Right on. Yeah, no, obviously, this is the matchup of the first round. Obviously, everyone's got to move and eventually run into sideline, eventually run into TNT, and whoever comes out of a 4-5 game. But this is, like I said, this is the matchup that you want to tune into, you want to see. And Nasty Natty is not going to be a walk in the park. Obviously, Zip 'em Up will have a little more of a home crowd there, being in their arena. But I'm pretty sure the Cincinnati folk will show up and support their team as well.
Did you look how close they are, though? Actually, it's only like about a 25-minute walk or like a 8-minute drive between the campuses or something. So it's not like not that big a deal. It'll probably be a 60-40 crowd, I'm guessing. But we'll find out.
But it is the Xavier region, so.
And by the way, I'm going to call it now. I'm just going to go ahead and say it because I do put bounties on teams. I'm a Memphis fan. Zip them up. This matchup happens. I got a bounty on them. I'm putting a bounty on Natty. Beat them. I pay my bounties. I'm putting a bounty on Natty. Okay. 2-7. This is where we get into what happens here. Sideline, defeat diabetes. I just wanted to have the cancer diabetes matchup. I figure disease versus disease. Everybody wins when something's cured. So no matter what happens in this game, you're going to see somebody fighting disease get one step closer to raising money for their cause. So,
yeah.
We'll leave it at that,
That's impressive.
Now, here's what's interesting. Somebody bought in this region. The Cincy region supposedly has a bought team. I don't think any of these teams bought, but no one else applied to Cincy. So I am confused, is what I am.
I thought Miami Athletic was bought into Cincy, but they're over in Dayton, which we'll talk about in a minute. So who knows? I mean, it's one of those ones. I think TBT does a great job of keeping their site up to date. And I think if there was a team that was still to be entered, I think we would know about it. But once again, you never know what's going to happen. So we don't think there's a buy-in here. We think it's shifted to Dayton and there's no Cincy buy-in, but who knows? We'll figure it out.
Fort Wayne's leadership said we didn't buy. So we can confirm that Fort Wayne did not buy. They don't have to. They won last year. They have an auto bid.
They won last year from the last 4 into winning the first round game. So yeah, they're locked and loaded. Great team too.
Okay, no bubble here. Okay, let's go to New Mexico. Now, regions flex. This region got real interesting because this is one that we weren't sure was going to fill up, and it got a few teams. And we have probably, and we won't spoil the surprise, we have the nastiest. Here, real quick, I got to bring this up on the chat. Free shoes for charge. They got you shoes last year.
Oh yeah. No, I was hitting the. Say that again.
Talk about the fan vote real quick from last year.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. So TBT, I'm not sure how they selected the emails that went out, but they were basically looking for fans who have been involved with TV kind of from the early adoption days, was engaged with social media, the game, or the fan games, the bracketology, all that good stuff. And so they invited a group of fans onto a show to select the final team of TBT. That would have been 2021. So we had to pick between Fort Wayne, Chicago Hoopville Warriors might have been one. The Locos was one. And gosh, I'm getting old, as you can see, getting gray. Don't remember who the other one was. But so the Fort Wayne Champs put a great video together. I was hustling to get my guys in and trying to influence the vote. And Fort Wayne ultimately did get in. But everyone who was on that panel got a $100 Puma gift card, and Hayner can appreciate how cheap I am. So of course I go to the Puma outlet store on a holiday where it's like an additional 25% off. So yeah, I walked out with a couple bags full. And
I got your wallet right here. I got your wallet right here. See, it's empty. Got your wallet right here. There's Charge's wallet. It's beat up, ugly, and empty.
That's all right. It's all where it needs to be. Working for me. I'm getting old. I got to retire soon.
Oh, you look old. Hey, I wants to know what our thoughts are on the fan vote this year. You don't know if they're having one. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, they are having a fan vote this year. So I have not heard, though, who the last four is. I think, obviously, they got to play out what happened in the application deadline. But there will be a fan selection committee again this year, which will be Thursday night. And so we'll have to wait and see who the four teams are going to be and who we get to vote in.
Definitely. Okay, let's get to New Mexico. So, again, we're not going to ruin the surprise, but this is the nastiest first-round game we could think of. We'll explain how we came up with this in a minute. So, first of all, the blended Hardfire 23 against one of the bye teams we can confirm competitive choices bought their way in. They bought themselves a loss, probably. We might be wrong, but I think they bought themselves a loss.
We have to go back. Has a buy-in team ever won? Because
I don't
Maybe
know.
Where's Josh Brown? He listens sometimes. Has a buy-in team ever won? I do not know.
Maybe a buy-in team has won. I know if you pay for something, you often get in trouble. You can ask Deshaun Watson. Anyway, we're talking about this. So you've also got Ram Up versus Always a Bronco. So this would be a really interesting matchup of Mountain West teams, keeps the sort of fan bases. This is another alumni-heavy region. And because we wanted this matchup and we were hunting matchups, it made us the absolute nightmare 3-6 game. This is a disaster. And I don't know if this even makes sense. Challenge ALS versus the LA Cheaters. Just listen to what I just said. The Challenge ALS versus the LA Cheaters in the first round. That's absurd. Those are two teams win the thing. And I'm like, hey, let's put them in 3-6. But you think about it. I'll go ahead and show the rest of the bracket so it makes some sense because we can talk about what this means. Enchantment plays the Panamaniacs. That's a rivalry. We want that first round matchup. Ram Up versus Ross Bronco. It's got to be a rivalry. And neither of those teams wants to play Heartfire, and they're the one. You're left with no other option. So if you want to get matchups that fans will be engaged in, we get rivalries, you get sort of engagement that way, you're stuck putting two massive heavyweights in the first round. Is this just insanity charge? We talked about this when we were doing this. This is just... Do you see another option?
It is insanity because I think ALS comes out of this bracket. They, bar none, made the biggest upgrades last year. Obviously, last year they had some curveballs thrown at them and absolutely lost Tyrese Rice, kind of had to fill in some spots last minute, had a good team, but not the ALS teams that you're normally used to getting out of here. So Challenge ALS, I think, is so reloaded, so good. I think that's a team that people want to see advance, and I don't think they're going to get the Cheaters. So despite us always looking to get these alumni matchups, I think you're going to see ALS and Cheaters split up a little bit and kind of have that path look a little bit differently, even if it does mean sacrifice in Colorado or Boise or New Mexico State. But I think you do leave Enchantment and Panamaniacs together, but you may sacrifice the Rams and Boise.
You split the two teams from Mountain West. give them
I
each?
think you have to. I think you protect Enchantment as much as you can, but I think you sacrifice the other. But when I say that, who knows? Colorado can win. Boise can win, which I'm pulling for Boise because I do a lot of business down in the Boise, Salt Lake City area, so I got to pull for those guys. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting bracket. It just lays out a little different. Heartfire, I think, is going to have a solid team again, but I've got to go with ALS this year. I'm blown away. And crazy year already because obviously they've retooled, got some guys, but you get guys like Jeff Ledbetter leaving Florida or the money team and, formerly Team for Debt and kind of jumping ship from a successful program to another successful program. So I'm not sure how that worked out, but I'm sure Challenge ALS is not done, and they'll find the players they need to fill the holes and be a spectacular team. But I really like what they did in the offseason.
So,
and Jacob said, yeah, Florida TNT was a buy-in at one point, I'm pretty sure. Maybe DRC back in the past too. But, yeah, so it's far and few. But this year's teams, I think, are going to struggle from a buy-in if they're the teams we think they are.
Definitely. Now, this was actually one of the toughest cuts. We know the buy-in team in this case. It is competitive choice, so that one we actually know. The Fort Hood Wounded Warriors were cut. And that is the toughest cut we had. Hopefully, Sed swings by. He's been waiting for the chat. He hasn't swung by yet, but he's supposed to come and yell at me. I told him to come yell at me. Sed Brooks is the GM of Fort Hood. And I don't tell teams, or we don't tell teams to move, but Fort Hood is one of the 64 best teams that have applied. So if they get cut, it's due to region strength and due to problems. If they're willing to pack their bags, they can probably sneak in this. Charge, would you agree if they pack their bags, they've got a pretty good chance of getting into this?
I'm going to disagree a little bit. I love Fort Hood. It's just all the bubble. Like I said, it's not deep like in the past where you got 120 teams we're juggling. You can give me Hayner. Hayner did some amazing work this afternoon. A lot of the rest of us are out working, but he doesn't sleep, so he doesn't always work overnight. But what was it, 77? Is that the number where you?
We're about it. We're plus or minus 77 programs. I might have been off one when you did the math again. And actually, I have someone here who can go ahead and yell at us, actually. We have the Fort Woodward Warriors. Let's bring them on real quick. Hey, Antonio. It says Antonio, but is this Antonio or is this Sed? We're going to have to turn on his mic, actually. Hey, Antonio, you hear us? We're having a bit of an issue here with Antonio. We got somebody from the Fort Wounded Warriors to yell at us, but he's not. He needs to unmute himself. Antonio?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so while you try to come off the mute, like I said, it's I think they stack up with everybody, but it's just so hard to bump any of the other bubble teams that are out there.
Yeah,
I think they would be more compelling in Wichita, more compelling in New Mexico versus a Rucker kind of style where we know what some of those bubble teams are gonna do. So I mean, it's gonna come right down to the wire, and TBT is gonna make the decision they feel most comfortable with.
It's like poor production. I don't control people's microphones. What do you want me to do? Antonio, one more chance. If I can hear you, you're staying. If not, we're gonna keep moving. You're on, but your mic's not on. I can see your lips moving. I have you on sound. You're not moving. You unmute yourself again. One more chance. Antonio, can we hear you? Okay, Antonio, you're going to have to come back. I'm sorry. We're going to have to keep it moving. Come back and yell at us next time, okay?
But that's not wrong. Obviously, this was, technical challenges on the other end. But, I mean, if you're tuning into ZoomTheTBT for the high production value, then you're definitely in the wrong place for that. Hopefully we'll impart a nugget or two of TBT wisdom on you, but yeah.
I feel bad. You want to come plead his case.
I know. We've been trying to get Fort Hood on for the longest time, too. So.
Oh, gosh. You know what? Hey, if you're still listening.
I mean, it was bad timing. I mean, I'm sitting here saying you had him in the bubble somewhere else, and I'm out here saying Fort Hood's got no chance. So I'm kind of glad he couldn't get off mute. So I'm good with that.
Oh, my God. It's like, dang, kicked him out of the tournament and off the podcast. No, we didn't kick him off. You can come back and get the sound fixed. If you're still listening, come back when your sound's fixed. We just got to keep it moving. We got too much to do tonight. Okay. That's funny.
Where are we going? This one here, it's going to be, like I said, pit. So,
all right, let's do it.
The teams are going to feel it nice.
Yeah.
All right, Bayheim's, Syracuse.
We got Bayheim's Army. against India Rising. Bayheim's reloaded. We've got India Rising. Hey, real quick, just because we go ahead and do Port British Value real quick, we're going to go ahead and just do this real quick. Hey, Stacy.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, we're going to bring you back
man?
when we get to Showtime, okay?
Okay.
You just keep waiting, buddy.
You know us, we always run behind. Too much fun going on here. Too much TBT
We'll
fun.
bring them back. They're soon. They're soon. We'll bring them back. Okay. Let me see here. So Bayheim's Army and India Rising. We think India Rising is a bye team. We're not sure though. We hope they could be. That'd be a fun team. Obviously, a whole much like Forces of Seoul, a whole sort of region or country being represented. The defending champs have reloaded. They lost some players. They lost Rice. They lost Rice. But they reloaded.
Shocking.
Yeah. So that should be a pretty interesting team. The favorites probably to get out of this region. Now, this one I really like. And we did blatantly matchup hunt in this region. Blatantly matchup hunt. Big Five as the 4 versus the Newman Goretti Saints as the 5. And I see on my screen, there it goes. It's fine on the screen. An all Philly battle. I mean, brass knuckles and teeth on the floor. It'd be a fun game. All those guys from Temple, from LaSalle, from Penn, all those Big Five, St. Joe's, all those guys versus the NG Saints, Newman Goretti. That would be a fun Philly matchup. That would get you pretty hyped as an appetizer for the rest of the region, yes?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But why didn't you get Big 5 to 5? Because it's going to feed the same way.
No, that's a fair point. Because I think Big Five, you're such a dick.
I'm not asking you to split hairs between the teams and why they're the 4. Just a number 5. Come on.
Yeah, it's just like we're
That's all right. Peter worked so tireless today while I was out working. He put in a lot of time, so I appreciate all the work. Peter, but give him the 5 seed just because.
Don't tell my clients I work that hard on this stuff. By the way, while we figure this out, let's raise something else real quick. Jake just raised, which is interesting. He chatted in on the chat, which I like this, and we're freezing here. This is great. Okay, we're gonna keep going here then. Never mind. We'll bring this back in. Okay, so
yeah.
what you've got here?
I saw the comment that popped on there for a second, but the Jamboree back, which you and I have different takes on the side of the field, so we can't do a whole. I mean, we can do a whole show on that, but I love the idea of Jamboree style where teams are competing to enter into the tournament, a la Vic Beasley. I just don't want TBT to run it. I'd rather that be all external, not even necessarily buy-in spots where Beasley has to buy a spot, but just local, respectable run tournaments with respectable teams competing for a spot. I would love to see one of those per region. I think it would add a twist and really get some of these bubble teams to be, kind of fighting their way in, earning their way in, and be battle tested before they hit the TBT. But totally agree with Jake. I'd love to see something. Just disagree with how it would be administered.
Real quick, we're having a little problem with the site. I'm bringing it back up here. We're having a little bit of a problem as per usual due to the internet. This is the great joy of going live. Here we go. We're back to this though. And we don't have it on the screen yet, so we're going to wait for the screen to catch up. But while we're talking about it, Charge, you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, perfect. Okay. We'll just go ahead and let them out. Now we got Blue Collar U as a 3 and Brown and White as a 6. That's sort of like Northeast school action. And then this is a matchup I really like. If you got the Friday beers versus the nerds, the guys who drink versus the guys that study, a very natural matchup there. So Charge, button up this region. How competitive does this region look?
Yeah, this one's extremely, extremely competitive because even the 8 at India Rise, and I think this is going to be a team that, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's to buy-in, but I think they're going to be a much better buy-in than what we've seen before. They're extremely organized, really playing for, just a very, large community who's behind them, playing with pride for their community. And it's going to be, I think, just a fantastic outing in Philly. Those guys are going to come and fight hard and brawl. They're going to be fun. Blue Collar U, Brown and White, Western New York, get a little battle there. But Friday Beers now has Vinny Vitrone. So, I was a little down on Friday Beers because it's not a lifestyle anymore. I haven't even talked to Jess at all this TBT cycle. So is it a lifestyle? But they got Vinny back. So
Beer infused lifestyle. Come on.
Man, it's going to be a great team, and AJ's going to do his thing with it. But I'm pumped that Vinny's involved, and we got to hear from Jess at some point. She hasn't been on at all this year, but hopefully they keep their brand, within the brand of Friday Beers. Obviously, everyone needs those sponsors nowadays, so gotta love that. But I just love the Armored Athlete of old. So I'm a old school guy, and I'll be pulling for him. But I love the old style and kind of what they stood for before.
Definitely. And a couple teams still there.
Their team's going to be great again. I was so high on those guys last year, and so this would be a crazy matchup. Obviously, Beer's a little more high profile, but the Nerd team I was high on last year, and they're going to be solid again this year.
Yeah, definitely. And MDA and Paris United are your bubble teams here. Not really threatening to get in right now unless one of them bought. Now they're not credible. Just there's no room at the end. Basically.
Yeah, no, I agree. It would take something that we're not seeing to get one of those guys in here.
Okay, let's bring on our intrepid friends because we're about to do West Virginia. So let's bring it in here. So first of all, we got Shane from Showco Showtime we're going to bring on. Hey, Shane.
What's up?
And Stacy's with you, right? I just want to make sure this is right?
Yeah, he's on here. I do believe.
I figured. Okay. Let's get on the gentleman.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so first of all, we're going to get to you guys in a minute, but we want to show you what you're dealing with. So we have the gentleman from WoCo Showtime who have made some moves. And you guys should talk about that team once we show your actual bracket. But let's wait till we get to your team, and we'll bring you guys in to talk about what it looks like as a part of Showtime for a team here, okay? So first of all, Charge, you got West Virginia versus Team DRC. Now, Team DRC is probably the softest team in here and definitely somebody that might get moved off. But still a credible team. Not a lot to say there. Probably a fairly easy first-round game maybe for West Virginia. Okay, Founding Fathers versus Liberty. How exciting is this matchup?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a fun one. I think Founding Fathers last year, really made a statement for why they should be in TBT not only this year, but overall, in years to come. They are absolutely going to be a fun matchup. And Liberty being a new team, I just love when we keep getting these new alumni teams in. They show up last year and really put on a great show. So solid matchup. And, 4-5, once again, this is going to be a little matchup driven. I think both are, gonna it'd be a great match against each other, but to beat some of the top teams will be a challenge. But the matchup looks great.
So you see odds on there? That's a lot of text, right?
He hasn't even seen where we put him. I mean,
I know. I didn't know. I mean, I know Ott's going to law school, but I didn't know he could write that much. Ain't no one reading that book, Ott. That's just too much. That's too much text for a podcast, man. Too much text for a podcast. But Ott, it's not like we screwed you. Ott is amazing. Ott's like haters. Whatever. Okay. Whatever, Ott. We love you. You know it. Okay, so.
Yeah,
okay,
drop
so
the rest out there so we can talk about
Okay, Stacy and Shane. How would a 6 seed look against East Tennessee? We know you've got shooting, and we know East Tennessee likes to play a pressure defense. Will this be a game where 1st to 100 wins the game?
It could be, couldn't it, Shane? First to 100.
Yeah, I believe so. That's two SoCon rivals, so that would be a pretty heated matchup.
That's a conference matchup, if memory serves, correct?
Yep, that is correct.
There we go. That's why we set it up that way. We're not complete. we were born at light night, but we weren't born yesterday. Now, do you guys have some movie you're trying to make that you want to talk about?
Yeah, we made a last-minute addition today. We've been working on it for a couple of weeks. But, yeah, we added a former champion that played with Marquette guys, Andrew Rousey. So, yeah,
talk about what he adds to your roster.
Yeah, he's Marquette's single season. Got the most points scored in a single season at Marquette. Broke D. Wade's records.
Yo.
Yeah.
That's tough to coach. That's tough to coach off a top team like that. How did you do? Did you promise him kickbacks or something? Did you give him NIL money?
Well, let me tell you, me and him been texting, and me and him and Shane all is big into sports cards collecting.
Sure.
And Andrew said, so I guess that includes a box of. There's a brand out now called Obsidian. He said, so I guess that includes a box of Obsidian if I sign with you guys, right? I said, yeah, we'll get it done for you. So
TBT follows us around. He is actually his brother lives the next CD over from Stacy, so that's kind of how our connection started. We've been talking to him before we had even really talked about signing him.
Yeah. But Hayner, guess what city he lives in? Johnson City, Tennessee.
What's he?
His brother lives in Johnson City, Tennessee.
No kidding.
Yes.
But that's in Eastern Tennessee, if memory serves, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm from Memphis.
That's a steal box of cards compared to some of the other money I've heard dangled out there this year. So, yeah, I think you guys got a steal. And, yeah, Rousey's just been really, the past couple of years in the G League, just put up some crazy numbers, shot over 50% for the Golden Eagles from three, I think, career in the TBT. And that's one I just never understood. The Golden Eagles were always a deep team, but man, for him not to get on the court and get some more action was just mind-boggling. So I think that's a huge pickup for you. You guys have Fletcher and Rousey going at it. That's like I said, going to be a spectacular offensive show, and that's from a team. You guys are pretty much the same team as last year that came down to the wire against West Virginia last year. So do you think that's enough to put you over? Go ahead.
Close game. We were in the building. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So you think that's the one player that you were short last year that could have got you over the edge?
Yeah, we had the ball, possession of the ball with a chance to win it, and turned the damn thing over. So, yeah, still a tough pill to swallow.
It happens.
Yeah.
We all have those moments. But, hey, the next year, sometimes it happens next year. So, guys, this matchup would be pretty fun. So, like, obviously – the winner of this game, getting heard that's a piece of cake, right? That's just an easy W. Easy W?
Also, another one that's been hanging around our area as well.
What's up?
I said Odd is another player that's been hanging around in our area. TBT seems to follow us around.
Yeah.
We're just pulling odds.
Yeah, we had a local tournament not that long ago, and Odd played in it. The one, me and Shane, we all played in it. Yeah, but Odd was in it.
I tried to get back into TBT shape for his final ride.
Yep.
The last dance of Odd. Yeah, this will be a fun region. I think what makes this region pretty interesting is there's a lot of like small but extremely proud fan bases. Like as a guy who's from the South and from has a smaller fan base, these small fan bases punch above their weight. You got Liberty, you got Wofford. You got East Tennessee, you got Marshall. There's a lot of fan bases with big chips on their shoulders. This will be a lot of fun to watch, actually. And I think Charge and I are considering going down there if we can get our schedules to link up. So you guys might have to buy us a beer down there. Where's a good place to have a drink in Charleston post-COVID?
Hey, we'll find somewhere in the city. So I've not been in Charleston a whole lot, but we'll find something.
There we go.
That wasn't a problem for you last year.
Oh, hang on. Whoa. No. Real quick. Odds like Marshall bigger fan base than Memphis. On what planet is Marshall a bigger fan base than Memphis? Oh, come on, Odd. I can't let that pass. We're going to have to whatever. Okay, anyway. Shane, Stacy, we're going to finish this up. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for announcing your new edition. We can't be more excited about WoCo. What a great team it's going to be.
Hey, appreciate you having us on.
Well, thanks for having us on, guys.
Bye, guys.
Take care, guys. Appreciate you.
All right.
I think we really need to have Odd on this show full time, honestly. He should be
so
our third.
Number two heard that. And obviously, I think they deserve a 2 seed, but if we do not get West Virginia heard that this year, I think you're just taking too much of a chance because this is a TBT. Anyone can beat anyone, and I feel much more comfortable trying to get that matchup in a 1-4 versus a 1-2. If we do not ever see West Virginia play heard that, it's just criminal. It's just not TBT-esque. We need this matchup, and on social media you hear all the time, we want this matchup. West Virginia heard that, so we got to get the matchup. And I don't care who you put as the one, put it out there. Love to see out there, put West Virginia 4, but give me that matchup in the second round. I can't wait till we get to the finals of this region.
Yeah,
can't risk it.
I'm gonna disagree. I think we can really go ahead. I think we go ahead and trust them to get there. I think they can do it. And I think if they can't, I'm fine with letting them go. Okay, I think we got one more region left, right?
Well, they got Mid-American Unity. You got Mike Peridio and my guys from the 330 back. So I don't know. That's a tough decision. Either Porini and the 3-3-0 guys. So that's gonna be a fun matchup if everything holds true there. But once again, that's why you can't take the chances too much. I think obviously Founding Fathers Liberty are going to be the teams that I think you split these two teams up. I don't think they end up as the 4-5. I think you're going to kind of not get those matchups until the second round. So we'll see how that plays out. But for what, like you said, for smaller teams, this is going to be as exciting as any region out there.
Yeah, what's interesting too is like this is a pretty interesting bubble. I don't think Hickory, Uninvited, or B-More are going to really credibly challenge. Other than not bad teams, it's kind of full. I am intrigued by the Georgia Kings, and also I wonder if there is a fan vote, if this might be where they slot it. Maybe, who knows? And we're going to figure that out. But it's an interesting region.
It's got a pretty big bubble, so I wouldn't be surprised. But I think DRC would be in there. I think Georgia Kings would be in there. Where once again, very credible, but. Yeah, don't know any other information at this time of how it's going to play out, but we'll find out tomorrow night.
Okay, we're the last region I think we're doing tonight, Dayton. So we'll just kind of bring them up real quick. We'll just bring everybody up real quick because I know we're a little low on time. We've been moving pretty fast. Let's talk about what we got here first of all. There's no bubble, so there's 8 teams in. This is it. So really, this is the last 8 teams we have in the dance. So Golden Eagles, obviously not a defending champ, but a former champ, really high quality, versus a bye team. Athletic Miami, Men of Mackey versus podcast favorite, friend of the podcast, and team badly in need of a win, War Ready. You have 30 seconds to kick, Matt, as is the podcast's want. How do you want to give Matt a hard time tonight?
I'm not gonna. Like I said, we followed Matt from his Tampa 2020 days. Great talking about TBT and his team throughout the years. I really want to see these guys get a win. I think they're organized this year. They're going to have some good training camps. So this is the year. Fingers crossed. But that Metamaki team always shows up though, and that's no matchup you want to get in the first round. So we'll see. But I'll let you be mean to Matt today. I don't have it in my heart to be mean to Matt today.
We're running out of time. It's been a long show already, so I don't want to be mean to Matt. I think War Ready actually, they're a really good team. They just had remarkably bad luck, I think, and just had some tough showings. The problem with this region is it's very top heavy. So there's no easy touches. The 4-5 matchup is pretty difficult. I think we're doing them a favor by not giving them a 6 seed because pure all-stars against a 3 seed with the money team. Like that's just feeding a team to the money team. I mean, Peoria really needs to yell at us for this one because that's no favor. That's just no favor. And Red Scare versus Ohio, also no favor. I think that 4-5 game will be pretty competitive, but I see a lot of chalk. I see Eagles, Mackey, Money, and Red coming out of this. Who do you have winning this region?
This was tough. I'm going to stick with the Eagles. I like the moves they made. It looks like they're going to have some of their same people back. They added Deontay Burton, and this just shows you how much things change in a hurry. They actually showed Caleb Wesson rostered for a handful of days, and they put on their Twitter that he is now not playing, just with some deadline moves and some different things. So what would be interesting if Wesson joined some of those Ohio State guys on Red Scare, because if that happens, then I think Red Scare may be leaning up a little bit here. But, yeah, this is just really kind of crazy that Golden Eagles, Red Scare, I think that's going to be, kind of going towards each other. TMT, once again, strong, but this is, you take those 3, I think they got the lead horses, but anything can happen in the TBT. But I'm going to stick with the Golden Eagles.
Actually, I wonder if it's going to be TMT personally. You see that Jake's saying TMT is scary, and he's right. They're a really, really scary roster. They're almost.
To say, but I think Red Scare, they had 1 or 2 more moves. I mean, they had a Scoochie this year, Kufos. They're tough. They're tough. I'm leaning almost Red Scare over Eagles, but I'm just going to go with the history and stick with the Eagles.
Okay, we're going a little long. I'm going to go ahead and bring in a couple of these calls. Let's see if we can get them to work, and if not, we'll just bounce them. So first things first, let's talk to – we have Antonio Pate of the Fort Hood Wounded Warriors. You there? I am getting – hey, Antonio, you here? Okay, we're going to try one more time with him. We'll bring him back if he comes. Is Uriah here? Also somebody from Fort Worth. We're having some Fort Hood problems here. They're on here, but they're not doing sound. We're requesting it. We'll see if they can get on here. Okay, they're not here. Real quick here, we got this too. Sleep on Pure All-Stars all you want. Yeah, Coach Willie Williams says sleep on all you want. Hey, we'd love to see this upset. It'd be a lot of fun to see Peoria take it to the money team. That'd be fun.
I do think this is going to be one of the better Peoria teams that we've seen. This is a deep region now. You could slot them a spot or two. Like I said, if they end up in a 4 or 5 type matchup, I can see the win. The money team's tough.
Okay, we're gonna
that's every year.
Okay, we're gonna ask Fort Hood guys. Can you hear us? Are you here? One more time. Okay, never mind. We're not gonna Fort Hood. We're gonna deal with them next time. They're a query-level team. Actually, that's my hardest cut of the teams we cut. That was my hardest cut. Who was your hardest cut? So I have Fort Hood as like Team 65.
Yeah. I think my toughest cut is going to be the guys from Lemonade, but I will not be surprised if they do, unfortunately, not make the cut. Look for a way to be in the regionals, selling some nice cold lemonades, but just a really great organization. And whether they're in or they out, we just want to wish them the best. But that's the toughest cut for me because I think they've improved in their second year from the quality of players, organization, just really passionate about the TBT business. So that's the toughest one for me.
Hang on, we got one more guy. We're gonna see what's going on. Let me see. Let's get one more guy in here. Hey, Coach Marcus, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Hey, we got a forward guy on here.
The third time's a charm.
All right, there we go. Let's do this. Let's talk for a bit because this is a conversation we need to have. So, Coach Marcus, you were my toughest cut, and I hated to do it. I'll bring that back up in a minute. But first of all, obviously, we're not the TBT selection committee. We're just two clowns who have a podcast that's listened to by dozens of people. So tell us, why am I wrong? I want you guys to convince me I'm wrong.
Well, we always have a pretty competitive team. Just to back up a little bit, I played 1 year. I was assistant coach the second year, and this year I'm the head coach. And so we've always had a good crop of talent. I'm not calling out any names, calling out any teams, but there's a lot of teams that still are players. And, a lot of those guys come from Texas. Sideline Cancer, heard that. Menomax. I
admire the fact you said you're not going to name names and then immediately started naming names. I like that.
It hurts. It hurts sometimes. So we try to keep in touch with Dan and the rest of the TBT crew. But Fort Hood, wonderful place, largest military base in the world, can easily be a region, can easily host. We got the military behind us. We all have prior military and so on. So, we always have a pretty good competitive team. And we got a good group of guys, good crop of guys this year. We're hoping for some big-time players to come in. I know everybody was rooting for DJ. He just came back from overseas. So, we're just trying to get in, man. We've got, we're 1 and 2 in TBT. Mm-hmm. So –
Get us DJ on the team, and we will move heaven and earth to get him on there. He's the only player we know of. There's 2 players who are available, who are free agents in TBT, and who are both Charge alum and University of Memphis alum, and they are DJ and they are Chris Crawford. So any team that gets either of those 2 players, we will literally start bribing people if we have to get them in, obviously.
Yeah, package them both. Put in the call to DJ and pull Chris in. That'd be a nice core.
Yeah, Crawford and DJ, and we'll just start begging Dan. We'll just start making it happen. Now, I'm going to make you name names because we do have in the bubble. We really like your team. It was the hardest cut we had. And honestly, I think you're probably a better team and competitive choice, but they found the 20 grand. So they're in because they bought their way in. I'll ask the nice question. I'll give you an option because we're big boys here. You can either move a team, you can move your team, or you can kick a team out. So you can either tell me who I'm dropping or tell me where you're moving.
I would like to get a rematch from ALS.
Okay.
We lost to them our second year playing, and I would love to get a rematch from them. I know I played that year. I'm sorry, our first year. I played that year. And it was a tough game. We do have the record. I think it's the most 3 points made in a half by Devin Wilson, and he's a Fort Hood guy. We got some talent. We got some guys that can definitely shake it up, and I think people are sleeping on Fort Hood right now.
Yeah, I don't think we're sleeping. I think it's just a numbers game. I mean, this is a region that's rarely got a credible bubble team. Like, this is probably one of the hardest cuts. So yeah. I'll ask you again: are you guys willing to get in a plane, go somewhere else?
We are. We could travel anywhere. I mean, we're all big boys. Play professionally. We can move. We can move around, no problem. Logistically, we'll go anywhere.
Anywhere, including outside on the hardtop.
Yes, and Syracuse might be the stop. I see the chat, so we would love to see y'all in Syracuse.
Well, I mean, if you come to Syracuse, you come to Rucker, you'll probably see me. I'll be at both. I'd love to see Fort Hood in. I mean, as a military brat myself, I definitely understand the mission. I really like the fact you guys are doing that. So trust me, cutting Fort Hood was one of the more painful things we did in this bracketology. But as I said again, we don't know anything. We're just a couple idiots. So who knows? You guys could be a 1 seed. We'd be totally wrong. Who knows? Yeah. Charge, any questions for Marcus?
No, I think he covered it. For the sake of time, I mean, we can talk TBT all day long, but I think if they're willing to travel, I mean, hopefully if they're not already in a TBT bracket, maybe they land into the last 4 vote tomorrow night and give themselves one more shot to get in and convince the folks that they deserve to be there. So we'll stay tuned and we'll see where they fall.
Marcus, good luck. We want to see you guys in. Thanks for coming by. Okay.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks again.
Okay. See you guys. Take
care, Marcus.
Right now.
All right, Charge. We're long as usual when we do this show. This is always the long show. Final thought. Just give me one thought to work with here, and we'll close it out.
No, one thought. Just crazy offseason. I thought this was one of the more unique and different off seasons that we've had in a while. From just kind of the teams. I think the one thing we haven't talked about today is the teams that aren't in here. So there's no Ohio State. There's no. House of Pain, the Illity, the Kimchis of the world, playing for Jimmy V's. And so it's been very different from that standpoint, but you kind of see how some of the teams are evolving with some of these alumni teams, some of these other teams getting deeper and deeper than they ever have before with some just powerhouse super teams. And so it's just been a really exciting application period leading into 1 week from today, the selection show. So make sure everyone tunes into that. We'll go live again next Wednesday night and kind of talk about what happened for the day and break down the matchups and who we like there. But it's just been really unique and really fun application period.
On that note, we're close because we're just long as hell tonight. We'll get you back on episode 12 next week, do a few tapings in between. So we'll see you exactly and literally to the hour 7 weeks from now, because the official selection show, which everyone should watch if their work schedule allows, will be noon next Wednesday, June 22nd. And we will go live at 9 p.m. next Wednesday to remix the field and give us our quick reactions. Charge, always a pleasure.
All right, take care. Have a good night, man.
Charge and Hainer present ZoomTheTBT. Signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hainer. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.